everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Let's Be Honest. My name is Wise Oldman, and I'm a very, very disgruntled optimist. And if you haven't figured it out already, with regards to people, I always hope for the best. I always look for the best. However, at the same time, I do expect the worst. Is that healthy? I don't know. Probably not. It's certainly confusing and disappointing more often than I would like it to be. That much I do know. Now, within this unusually and totally unnecessary lengthy intro, I want to say that personally, I don't like disappointing people. Friends, my wife, the boss, staff, even people I meet in everyday life. I don't want to disappoint, and I want to give a good account of myself. I want to leave a room, a situation, or an encounter with somebody, and nothing would make me happier than if people think or say, good bloke, he was nice, or maybe just a general feeling of, that was easy, no matter how small a moment or brief that encounter. Don't we all want that? Fuck, maybe we don't. Do you even think about it? I bet a lot of you don't. Now, I think we're all aware that lots of people walk around in a bubble these days, especially the ones that are attached to their electronic devices. Don't worry, I'm not going to go down the let's just all be present road. That's just another slightly more modern and slightly wanky way of saying wake the fuck up. For me, it's all about reading, in work, at play, in relationships, and more importantly, in the times when you don't think it matters. But we can get to that later. Learning to read is a proper superpower. I would go as far to say that it's even better than Marvel's Hawkeye. Ooh, I've got good eyesight and a bow and arrow. Are you scared? It's ironic really, isn't it? He's more of a superhero in real life. I believe that reading is a skill that is almost as important as, I don't know, breathing? Bit dramatic? Am I going to start spouting things like, being nice, caring and a human is a real superpower. You should love everybody. I'll take a mock decaf grande half foam caramel free full caramel drizzle latte. No, none of that bollocks. However, reading is a genuine power and in my opinion a lifesaver. But it takes effort. When I say effort, I mean open your eyes. So really not that much effort then. Anyway, if I said that you could see into the future, you would quite rightly say, no you can't, don't be a tit, and maybe you've had enough to drink. I'm going to, of course, disagree on all counts. Learning to read a room, people and a situation is looking into the future. And the only reason people don't have this gift is because they're lazy and or they just don't think it's important. It's not that you can't, as I've said many, many times before. It's a choice. Most things are a choice, don't you think? Allow me to explain myself, and then at the end, by whatever platform you choose, you can tell me if you think I'm full of shit. Or an out-and-out, fully blown, balls out of the bath genius, up there with Einstein, Newton, Sheldon Cooper, and the person that invented donuts. Anyway, kick your shoes off, unless you are driving, walking, running, shopping, and relax. Because we are going to read together. A great man once said, I drink and I know things. Am I promoting drinking? No? Cheers. Welcome to Let's Be Honest. Just going back to my donut comments from the intro, it said that the donut was created by a lady called Elizabeth Gregory for her son, who was a ship's captain to feed, I think, all the sailors on his ship. Am I right? No, you might be wrong on that one, Wise. Now, I thought about this. So she created some food with a hole in the middle for a bunch of men who have been at sea for months. Any thoughts on that? Anybody? Wow. Dinner and a show. As I said in the intro, genius. I kind of want a donut now. To eat. Anyway, when I left school, feels like, 100 years ago now, could I read? A person, a room, a situation? No, of course not. Not much anyway. And even if I said I could, I probably couldn't, because part of reading is about life, experience, and having your eyes open. something that you don't really get in the bubble that is school or sort of university years. If you are, let's say, 20s or above, and you think back to school, college or university years, you would almost certainly admit that you didn't know much, certainly not as much as you thought you did at the time. You may remember getting into a few scrapes. I guarantee that you made some bad decisions with work, friends and relationships. And on reflection, you can often be found to say, I was an idiot. I wouldn't do that now. And did I actually do that? Fuck. Maybe you say, I can't believe I didn't see that coming, implying that you would see it coming if that happened now. Why? You know why. Experience, common sense, and your eyes are more open than they used to be. Then you didn't read, but now, of course, you do. But imagine just how good you would be at it, even now, if you actually thought about it a little bit more. To be honest, you may well still be in that period of your life, as in teenage or early 20s. However, I do believe the landscape has changed a little. Speaking for the older generation, we know that we made a lot of mistakes and we fucked up more than once or twice. However, I think the startling difference these days is that with social media at your fingertips, a lot of younger people think that they know, well, everything. I truly believe that not many people under the age of 25 knows how to read people, a room or a situation. But if you are one of the few and do have a gift for it, you still have a long way to go. We all do, no matter what age we are. I also promise you that I'm not being patronising. Unless you think you know everything, then I'm being totally fucking patronising. I would also like to point out that this is not just for the young. Everybody needs this gift. And it is a gift. The gift of reading. The lack of reading affects everybody. The young and the old, in different ways, can be guilty of thinking that they know it all. But not one person on the planet knows it all. And that's a fact. Apart from maybe JC. He probably sees and knows everything.
Do you mean our Lord Jesus Christ?
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. No, when I said JC, I actually meant Jackie Chan. Sorry, Jackie Chan. It's one word, isn't it? To be honest, if you listen to the smartest 10 people, I don't know, in the world, every single one of them will say that they know nothing. It's the ones that know fuck all that are usually the loudest and talk the most. Look, you can never really fully see into the future. That would just be fucking stupid. But if you read, you can almost see into the future. Why don't we call it future-ish? You can, we all can achieve this with a combination of, I don't know, about 50 positive character traits that you will gather as you go along. Things like humility, caring, awareness, being ethical, mindfulness, being open, perceptiveness, and about 43 others. Then, and only then, do you have a shot. However, they mean fuck all if your eyes aren't open. I bet if there was a video game or something that you had to gather all the character traits to get to the next level, you would think about it a little bit more, wouldn't you? Imagine marketing that to the kids. The game that makes you a better person. Wonder how many copies that would sell around the world. Dozens. When I talk about being well-read, I'm clearly not talking about books. I think that's obvious by now. Books are lovely. However, as I'm sure most of us would agree, you can only learn so much by a book. You can quote ancient or modern philosophers till you shit your pants with self-obsessed smugness. However, the person you are spouting Plato to won't give a Socrates scrotum if you're still in your nappies. They might even think you're a bit of a cant. Practicality is a must.
But I'm only 19. How can I be expected to have practical experience?
Nobody is expecting that. To kick off, you could start by being, I don't know, humble. Don't see much of that these days. Which would then make you almost certainly more likeable. Then you just open your eyes and listen. Because if you are the person spouting your textbook bullshit, then you're not listening, are you? As we all know, it's very hard to listen and talk. Am I right?
You're not wrong.
Cheers. Am I promoting drinking? No. A footballer or any sports star can learn the theory and the tactics. A guru or life coach can have their scripts. but put both of those people in a real life situation, a footballer on the pitch, a life coach in, well, real life, and I suspect they wouldn't flourish. Have you ever seen a reporter put a microphone in the Swedish hobbit Greta Thunberg's face and ask a question, especially when she doesn't have a script? Nothing. She regresses to the teenager that she is and either says nothing, throws out an insult, or just goes, "It's going to be very hot," but far more aggressively, almost as if her head is going to start spinning around. In my book, there is no substitute for the actual art of doing. In this instance, doing being watching and listening. So I would like to start, even though you're thinking, didn't we start about 15 minutes ago, with a quote and a drink? Am I promoting drinking? No. This really is delicious tequila, by the way. I just don't know what the name is. Oh, by the way, when I said you shouldn't quote, I'm allowed to quote, for many, many reasons. One being, I'm about 100 years old. The great Tyrion Lannister. Well, he once said, "I drink and I know things. It's what I do." Was he right?
He wasn't wrong.
Was he promoting drinking? Yeah, little bit. Do you know what happened to him? Nothing. Well, not nothing. Quite a lot, actually. However, he did survive 8 seasons of a show where every fucker got killed. And not just killed, but like killed. Nasty shit killed. Why did he survive? Because he was smart, and he could read more than a book. He drank, and he knew things. Am I promoting drinking? No. Reading for me is everything, and I truly believe it's kept me out of trouble and mostly alive. As I keep harping on about, the reading of a room, the people, a situation. Am I book smart? Nope, not even close. Am I people smart? Oh yeah, I fucking think so. But how did I get so darn good at it? He says, quite rightly flattering himself. Well, a few things happened. One was, I think, moving to London from teeny tiny North Wales. I remember my dear old mum saying to me, "Be alive to things and walk around with your eyes open." I think she thought that London was this evil place where everybody was out to get you. People from the north in the UK tended not to trust people from the south. Whether she was right or wrong in her assessment of London, my senses became heightened. I was almost suspicious of, well, everybody. I was alive to everything around me. Again, let's call it a superpower, shall we? Some may say that's just untrusting, which I totally am to this day. But you don't have to trust people to be a good human being. I don't think so anyway. I tend to think that not trusting people actually keeps you sharper. At the end of the day, I was a very nervous individual, and if I do say so myself, a fucking pointless and mainly useless human being. Yet I survived in the big city for over 20 years, mainly unscathed. Reason? Because I read a lot. The other thing that kept me alive was hospitality. Now I know that not everyone is in or has been in hospitality, which for a start is quite strange to me, because it seems that every time over the last, 40 years, that I've had an altercation with a customer, or even just a conversation, to be honest, that person, that customer, had been a bar manager, a waiter, or a bartender. Everybody has been in hospitality, it seems. All the hospitality people listening to this are nodding at this point. Everybody, seemingly, has always done for kicks what I and many others do for a living, probably while they were studying to be a lawyer, which also seemed to be every second person that I've met during a customer altercation. I don't really think watching LA Law and CSI really counts. Maybe it does. Okay, there is a reading a room situation right there, straight off the bat. I think it's a tad disrespectful to say to, let's say, a bar manager that you were also a bar manager while training at NASA or that lawyer thing. Were you trying to be disrespectful to that bar manager just to let them know that you know what you're talking about? And at the same time implying that you can do in your spare time what this person does for a career? Or did you just not read the room? Only you know. So if it is the case, most of you, according to you, have been touched by the hand of hospitality. To be fair, for me, if you want to progress in your job, your love life, and life as a whole, I said a whole, if you want to get ahead and potentially avoid trouble, you need to learn to read. Again, to reiterate an earlier point, how do you learn to read? Well, I'll tell you how you don't learn to read. With your head down, with your head in the phone. Am I going to suggest lose the phone like many other people do? God, no. You wouldn't listen anyway. Or last 5 minutes without it, to be fair. The smartphone is a fantastic thing. Plus, everything's on there these days. Our banking, our music, our contacts, maps, everything. I think it would be futile to suggest to you that the phone is the root of all evil. Besides, secretly, I think we know it is. Just like we know that Macca's and Disney are evil. We still quite like them though, don't we? Saying that, I truly believe the more you immerse yourself in your phone, the more that you are going to get left behind. Because life goes on, and at some point you will need people. Your phone can only do so much. I know these days people say it's the other way around. You have to be connected, you have to stay connected, you have to be up to date, you have to be relevant. As I say, don't ditch it, just control it, as opposed to it controlling you.
But it's not controlling me. I just need my phone.
Well, if you need it, then it's controlling you. We laugh and mock people for going to the doctor and being reliant on drugs. Your phone is no different. You don't think it's a drug? And without it, just like the drugs that you are reliant on, you can often go to pieces. Should you go and live on a mountain without your phone for a week, just to find yourself? And maybe you can make that grand statement. What's the fucking point in that? Besides, you're really only doing it so that you can talk about it all the fucking time. You'll spend 2 weeks telling all that you're going to do it, and then you'll spend the rest of your life casually dropping in the conversation wherever you can, what you've done. That's your contribution to society, you think. It's not a lot, is it? Besides, you didn't really do it for anybody else. You did it for you. You're not a better person when you came down the mountain. You're more of a twat than when you went up. Maybe it's like getting nominated for an Oscar. So from that moment on, each time you are announced, the phrase, one-time Oscar nominee, goes before your name. Hi, I'm John. I went up a mountain. Twat. I remember Jim Carrey summing up the absurdity of it all at the Golden Globes a few years ago when he was introduced as two-time Golden Globe winner. He said, and I quote, and I will quote because it's worth it, "Thank you, I'm two-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey. You know when I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm two-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being three-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey. Because then I would be enough. It would finally be true. And I could stop this terrible search for what I know ultimately won't fulfill me. But these are important, these awards. And I don't want you to think that just because you blew up our solar system alone, you wouldn't be able to find us or any of human history without the naked eye. But from our perspective, this is huge. Doesn't that little speech just sum up just how wrapped up we all are? Whatever it is, it's never enough. And that's another man who drank and still knows things. Jim read the room. Am I promoting drinking? No. All I see these days is a mixture of self-obsession and bullshit. And it genuinely feels like it's getting worse as every day passes. It's like those dry July people. They can fuck right off as well. You know, the type of people that allegedly give up drinking for a small period of time for a higher cause. What's the selection these days? As well as dry July, I think we have dry January, fasting February, sober September, and my favourite, October. Do me a favour. I'm pretty sure I've missed some. I don't know, probably not drinking November or might not drink May. Oh, fuck me, what's next? I don't know, sober Santa so you don't have to drink in December? Nah, of course not. You're not going to do that, are you? Why? Because of Christmas parties. Exactly. Because it affects you. I'm as grumpy as fuck today, aren't I? When I had my last business, some of these fuckers would come in and man, they used to get right up my arse. And they were always They always were so proud of it as well.
But I'm doing it for charity.
Yeah, fair enough, but 90% of you aren't going to raise money, are you?
I also want to be healthier.
What, by drinking Coke for a month, then getting back on it harder than you did the month before? Yeah, that should do it.
It's Diet Coke.
My mistake. Waiter, what can I get you, madam? Customer.
Oh, me? I'm not drinking this month. It's October.
Waiter, I didn't ask about your lifestyle. I asked if you wanted a drink. A no would have done the job. Now you, my loyal listening friends, may be thinking, what has that got to do with this episode? Well, everything. It's still an example of reading a room, a person. And you can only really do these things if you are not wrapped up in yourself. I was just about to say then that this might all just be bollocks. I may as well just piss against the wind for how much is probably getting through, or, am I just talking to the wall? And then I realised I am actually sitting here talking to a wall. Maybe I'm losing it. There is a good argument to suggest that some people can't read because they are blinded by the glow from themselves. Some people, a lot of them are young. Sorry. Again, sorry in advance, a lot of them being women. Young women. The current vibe seems to be certain groups of ladies referring to themselves as a 10 and a person of high value. Their words, not mine. Now, where I think it is healthy to have a little self-love, emphasis on the little, if you take it to the extreme, which is totally what's happening, then there is little or no room for improvement. Am I right?
You're not wrong, Wise.
Thank you. How can you improve on a 10? You just can't. So you stop trying because you have told yourself that you are perfect and other people are probably lucky to have you in their life. So all you end up doing is, ghosting through every situation, through every room, and rarely contributing. There is another word for it. Deluded. Just like orange is the new black. Maybe 10 is the new 3. Very soon, all you 10s, well, I think you're going to be alone. To all the new breed of people holding a 10 up above their heads just to show their worth, all everybody else is seeing is the 0. Is that harsh? Maybe, but I don't give a fuck, because I actually believe that's the truth. Maybe it's my truth. I always thought self-love was something completely different. Alone time with you know. Actually, saying that, I think I'm out of touch with everything. I was watching something the other day and girls were talking about body count. I always thought that was, how many people Rambo had killed in a film. So it seems it's how many people you've slept with. Who knew? Anyway, going back to that point, love, beauty and everything else should be in the eye of the beholder, not yourself. Didn't your mums ever say that to you? Mine certainly did. Gosh, it's all very deep, isn't it? Maybe I need a drink. Cheers. Am I promoting drinking? No. Every single time you encounter a person, any person, you really need the capability to read. Why? Well, because everybody matters. They fucking should anyway. Now, where I know that particular situation is not really a big deal, the one where you announce to the waiter that you're not drinking, but by the customer not reading the situation and being wrapped up in their own importance, the waiter will think you're a bit of a knob. Why? Well, because you, the customer, have just walked into a venue, a business, and announced that you won't be spending any money, but you still thought that you would make a grand gesture by still coming out to that venue. I get it, to a degree. You have to come out. You can only tell your cat how wonderful you are so many times. It's like walking into a car showroom and the guy says, "What car are you looking for today?" And you go,
"Oh, I don't drive. It's bad for the environment."
"Well, how did you get here?"
"Oh, I came on the bus."
Everyone, absolutely everyone, is a hypocrite. However, it's all about self-awareness, don't you think? It's about how much of a hypocrite you realise you are. I can't imagine the girls that are 10s think they're hypocritical at all. And that's the problem, isn't it? Now, I know this probably doesn't apply to you because my listeners are almost certainly wonderful, kind-hearted, funny, caring people. Am I right?
Yes.
But if this is you, if all that stuff I've said before applies to you, I bet you put a flag of France on your profile page when somebody burned the toast in Notre Dame a few years ago. Yeah. I'm also pretty sure that there was a flag of Ukraine somewhere on your Facebook. For a month, anyway. Thank God that's all sorted and forgotten, eh? Maybe this would be a good time for a drink. Again, am I promoting drinking? No. But what we will do is my weekly shout-out called Magic Darts, where, as you almost certainly know, I give a thumbs up to a venue or a person that I think has done some good, for no reason other than I think it's nice. And I say, why not? Why not give a compliment every now and again? Am I right?
Right again.
Today's entry is a place and a person. The Mission Cafe on York Street in Sydney. Is it a sexy name? Not particularly. Is it super sexy with beautiful, fashionable people taking selfies of crushed avocado? Nope. Thank fuck. It's simple, and it's really good, which I realise may not sound fantastic to some, but I think it is. I think it really is. The product is exactly what you order, which is always a bonus, I find. The staff are friendly and extremely efficient. And then there's Rocco, the man on the floor, the personality, the conductor, the maestro. You can't miss him. He's about 6'2", who I feel lives there. Every time I go, he's always there anyway. I actually spoke to him for the first time the other day as I wanted to pay him a compliment, and he said two things to me. One was that you've made my day, which kind of made my day, and the other that he treated the place like it was his own. You don't hear that much these days, do you? There are some days, like many of us in hospitality, where you just fucking hate it. Certain elements make it suck. Usually people, let's be honest. But it's clearly what he does. And I bet he can read people like a book. Rocco, you and your staff are magic darts, sir. I salute you and I drink to you. Am I promoting drinking? No. So, back to reading. You know what? There is just so much to get through. Maybe I'll cut this episode shortish and go over 2 episodes. I mean, you guys, listeners out there, you have stuff to do. You don't need to listen to my chutney all day. See what I did there? I'm reading the situation. I'm being thoughtful and considerate. And you love me for it. Yes, you do. Again, that's what I'm talking about. Reading a situation is around us. We just need to be alive to it. Then we get used to it, and then it becomes part of who we are. Now, I love nothing more than to sit in a cafe and read people. Pop the people-cancelling headphones on, and I'm as happy as a pig in shit. I don't need to hear them talking. I never need to hear them talking, to be honest. But that's the beauty of it. You don't need your ears to read. Besides, people in cafes and shit are often way, way too fucking annoying. If I'm sitting 2 tables away from you, I shouldn't be able to hear you chew or hear any part of your conversation. A wise tip: never leave home without your people-cancelling headphones. If you do forget your people-cancelling headphones, you will probably be treated to someone telling their friend that they've lost 1 kilo in July without drinking.
And they've never felt better.
Just loud enough that you can hear them, of course. 1 kilo. I lose more than that when I take a Forrest Gump. You didn't need to know that, did you? I have another wise tip for you. If you forget your people-cancelling headphones, do not despair. Wise has the solution. If you, let's say, need to sit in a cafe for whatever reason, just to have a cuppa or to do some work, go to one where people don't speak the same language as you. I actually go to one that's heavily populated with Asian people. I love it. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. It's because I can't understand a fucking word they're saying.
That's offensive, and I'm not even Asian.
Of course you're not, but carry on.
But like most people, I'm offended on behalf of other people. In this case, Asian people. I stand with you. Besides, I must love Chinese people because I love their food. I might even go home and put a flag of China on my Facebook for the day.
If it makes you feel any better, I also don't understand German, Portuguese or Swahili. I'm also pretty sure that Asian people don't give a fuck if I understand them or not. Let me explain why I said all of that. There was a study done a while ago that suggested that the creativity and efficiency of people went down the toilet when they could hear another person's conversation, especially if it's only part of the conversation, on a train, in a cafe, wherever it may be. When you hear a broken conversation, it seemingly throws you off your game. So for me, hearing Chinese people, for instance, chatting away, it's just noise. It's almost musical sometimes. As many other studies show, that's also why people, when they are studying, they are often more effective if it's just music they're listening to and no words. It's no different. Anyway, back to the people cancelling a headphone thing. It's also a great way to observe body language and to perfect your reading skills. I always find it fascinating when you see people running around like ants, but you can't actually hear a thing. I love trying to work it all out. When you do that, you're reading a room. I would also just like to say, to anybody that's in or going into hospitality, learn to read a room as soon as you can. I'm telling you, get this part of your job right, and you can write your own ticket, and customers will love you. What does love equal? Tips, happiness, fulfillment, promotion? Yeah, all of the aforementioned things. But much, much more. It also makes you that thing that every single boss in the universe wants. It makes you an asset. I know we've talked about being an asset in other episodes, but have you ever thought of yourself as an asset? Or has anybody ever called you an asset or valuable? It's kind of fucking cool to hear. One of those reasons might be because you can read and you know things. You may also enjoy a drink on occasion. Am I promoting drinking? No. Allow me to give you a reading scenario or two, because you know I love them. Let's go retail for a change. That's something different. Some of you work in retail, however, all of us use retail. We wish we didn't have to, but we do sometimes. We are, of course, going into shops less and less these days because of the online world, mixed in with the fact that many people that work in retail shops have either no knowledge or just don't seem to, give a shit. And for me, that's one of the many reasons why retail is going down the toilet. As always, why would you give money to somebody who is an arsehole? That's how I view it anyway. An example. Why is it when you walk into, let's say, a clothes store, the assistant goes, what brings you into the shop today? Really? Already? I haven't even taken a breath and you fucking annoyed me. What brings me into a clothes shop? Let me think. I don't know. Have a fucking guess. I'm already annoyed because you are being a robot and I know that you are not really asking. And you most certainly are not reading the room. Or in this case, the person. I guarantee that it wouldn't have made any difference in your approach if I was wearing a t-shirt that said, I'm in the shop because I don't know what I want to buy. Please sell me something. I have lots of money. Versus if I had a guide dog and a big stick like Moses. It always reminds me of that joke. A blind man walks into a shop waving his guide dog around his head. And the assistant says, what are you doing? And the man replies, I'm just having a look around. Oh, fuck off. It's a joke. Grow up. I'm just making the point that the assistant wasn't reading the person. What does it even mean anyway when you say, what brings you in? Really? I don't know. I saw some clothes and I thought I'd get some sausages. There have been a few occasions where my reply has been, can I get half a pound of minced beef, or could you point me in the direction of the gardening tools, please? I say it with a smile, of course. I'm not nasty or an arsehole. Unless you make me one, of course. Then I am. But that's when one of two things will happen. The shop assistant, they will either be alive to your sarcasm and not appreciate that you gave a stupid answer to an even more stupid question, or blankness will descend over their eyes. Not to be defeated, the staff member will then go into the next robotic setting, which is, what are you up to for the rest of the day? I often reply, just shopping. But in my head I'm thinking, why the fuck are you even asking me this? The point being, I can tell that the staff member has no interest in me and does not care what I'm doing for the rest of the day. And as a customer, we all know that. Now, I don't particularly blame the shop assistant. I do, but I also blame the person in charge, the person who trains. Part of most jobs is to read people in some way, shape or form. And guess what? Many people Actually, fucking all of us, we're all different and we all have different moods. Who fucking knew? I had a very similar situation in Sydney. Let's call it a fashion store. It was a while ago. I may have actually said this to you before. I was trying on a sports jacket because I'm a gentleman and the buttons didn't fasten at the front. This is when a 20-year-old assistant says to me, "Nobody fastens jackets up anymore. It fits perfectly." Clearly it doesn't, and I don't even know why you're saying that. This being a prime example of reading a person. I entered that store wearing a suit. I'm 58 and I dress well. I'm not complimenting myself, it's just a fact. So as the assistant, are you lying to get a sale? Yes. Are you just being robotic and going through your internal script? Yes. Are you treating me the same as you would treat an 18-year-old? Yes again. And do you have utter contempt for customers? I'm going to say almost certainly yes. As a customer, we know, we all know. And that's why we are all going online. And that's why soon you are going to be out of a fucking job. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The machines are coming. Sorry, this thing just popped into my head genuinely. I was talking about retail. This is more about service. I was with my wife in Burberry a while ago. I know that sounds tossy, but every now and again she likes that shit. And she was trying to buy one of those, classic beige trench coats. I remember the assistant got the right fucking hump with me, all because while my wife was trying this coat on, the assistant, if you can imagine, was holding the back of the coat around the waist so it looked like it actually fit properly. My wife turned to me and said, "What do you think? Do you like the look of it?" And I didn't mean to do it like this. It just came out. I said, "I think she's actually taking the piss out of you." I turned to the girl and I said, "You are holding the back of the coat to make it look like it fits." I said, "It clearly doesn't fit." She clearly didn't like me one little bit. But you know what? Assistants and staff and people say sometimes that people treat you like shit. That's why you get treated like shit. Possibly because the book you're reading is called I'm Hollow Inside. Now, I'm 100% convinced that assistant, all the ones that I've talked about, their days would be far better, far quicker, far more fun if they attempted to read the different people that they encountered in their day. I don't think people realise how much fun it is trying to read people. Another example of not reading is something that you and I encounter virtually every time we go out for dinner. The waiter or employee asking, "How was everything?" Now, what if the customer was, and I'm going to use an offensive word here, honest? I mean, all you, the customer, is doing is answering a question that was asked. So why does it often turn to shit? Again, waiter, "Did you enjoy your meal?" Customer, "It really wasn't very nice." Waiter, "We've never had that complaint before about this dish." Customer, "I don't really know what to say to that. What am I supposed to say?" Waiter, "There's no need to be confrontational, sir. Are you raising your voice at me?" That's where we are these days. A perfect example of this actually happened 2 weekends ago. As always, no names, but I was up in Orange. For the non-Australians, it's a place as well as a Fanta and a Nemo. The venue is pretty new and sparkly. I don't think that there are many new and sparkly places in Orange, so work it out if you can be asked. Now, I approached the bar. It's a huge and impressive bar with a pretty decent-looking selection of spirits. Everybody was dressed as a bartender, a few tattoos, rustic overalls like a blacksmith, and a nice shirt, with, of course, the usual assortment of wacky bow ties to show that they have a fun side. "How about a cocktail, sir?" "Well, I wasn't going to, but it sounds like it's your thing." "It is our thing." "How's your margarita?" I say. I know, I heard myself. I couldn't stop. I think I have tequila Tourette's. "It's sensational, sir." Sensational? Wow, that's quite the statement. I kind of feel I have to now. At this point, my wife whispers, "Don't do it. It won't end well. You know what you're like." I then smiled at my wife and said, "But they did say it was sensational." The bartender could hear all of this conversation, by the way. "It's amazing, sir. Why don't you have one and then you be the judge? You won't be disappointed." I turned to my wife again and said, "Well, I can't say no now, can I? I'm invested in this situation." "And what do you mean, anyway? You know what you're like." "Okay," I said, "let's do it." Now, you, the listener, don't need to really hear my full-on rant of how they made it, but let me just break down the drink as quickly as I can, just to see if you're with me on this. Okay then, for a start, no salt on the glass. Didn't even ask if I wanted any. I know, first world problems, whatever, shut up. So as the bartender poured the drink in the glass, I said, am I not getting salt? I actually did do it in a nice kind of jokey way. The bartender then picks up another glass, which isn't chilled by the way, and literally smothers the glass with salt. I said, it's okay, don't worry, seriously, I'm absolutely fine about this, I was kidding. The bartender looked at me, but she also ignored me at the same time. I think she was angry, but I'm not sure why. Of course I know why. I had a bartender once, actually quite a few of them over the years. They always seemed to be very angry at everyone else because of their own stupidity. Have you ever encountered that? That's actually quite funny, isn't it? And by funny I mean not funny at all. She then proceeds to pour the contents from the non-salted glass into the heavily salted non-chilled glass. Now what I witnessed was this, Monin agave syrup. Now any decent bartender will know that you don't put Monin agave syrup in a margarita. We may as well be at Starbucks. Fresh lime that was way too pale to be pure fresh lime. No double strain, so what I ended up with looked like a 7-Eleven slushy or something a soccer mum would drink at 10 a.m. in the morning. The lady that looked in charge then said, how did we do, sir? I tasted the drink. There was anticipation in the air. 3 other bartenders hovered around like hyenas. Do you want the truth, I said. I'm still pleasant and smiling, by the way. Yes, of course, sir. Can I be honest? Still smiling at an attempt to make light of the whole situation. Please, sir, of course. Well, it's almost undrinkable. No balance, no flavour. The glass is warm, coated in salt, and it's full of ice, so it's going to water down and get even weaker. I actually don't think I can drink it. By the way, throughout all of this, I'm still being what I thought was extremely nice. And honest, of course. As mentioned in many episodes, honesty can be extremely confrontational to a certain type of person these days. No names. So after my tiny little honest and smiley speech, the bartender, she just looked at me again and walked away. The 3 other bartenders slowly scuttled away from the scene of the crime. The boss said, thanks for the feedback. Then she walked away. I noticed the word sir was startlingly absent from her vocabulary all of a sudden. Now, because it was not my function and I was with, 10 of my friends, I didn't want to make a scene. So I'm there, just standing, $23 in the hole with a salty lime-flavoured soft drink in one hand and my dick in the other. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. I was just standing there alone, looking around. What do I do now? The wife looks at me. She says, I told you, it's your own fault. How was any of that my fault? My wife thinks I'm an idiot. As mentioned, I'm $23 in the hole, and all the bartenders think I'm a wanker and will almost certainly spit in my next drink. I'm branded awkward, just because they sold me something that they said was amazing. That wasn't. And when they asked how the product was, I was honest. Not nasty, not confrontational, honest. And they became offended. If they were offended, I literally don't know what the rules are anymore. How can so many people in such a short space of time so effortlessly not be able to read? Now, going forward, because we have to, this is not just me having a moan. No, it sounds like, but it's not. I have some solutions for this nonsense. Let's pretend for a second that you work in hospitality. Let's say you are the bartender. Which version of me do you want next? And there are a few versions of me, by the way, just like there are a few versions of you, potentially, when you go out. Number 1, the one that just happened. I was very nice, pleasant, and constructive, which you, the bartender, just pissed all over. Number 2, do you want the slightly sarcastic version of me, attempting to diffuse the situation with some what will almost certainly be misplaced humour? In your eyes, of course. Number 3, or would you like the person that you, by your actions, by not being able or interested in reading, are creating? The straightforward me, the Michael Douglas falling down me, that says something along the lines of, you sold me that drink under false pretenses. You said it was amazing. You lied. It was fucking terrible. Swearing is optional. You are very, very poor at your job. Raising your voice slightly, also optional. I want my fucking money back and a free cocktail because you have just wasted 15 minutes of my time and made me look a dick. Stamping your foot is also optional, although could look a bit camp. So which one of me do you fancy? Or is there a fourth where I just suck it up and say nothing? Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? I, as the customer, just suck it up, say nothing, and accept a below-standard product produced by somebody who doesn't give a shit. Then you, the staff member, will continue on your road of something less than mediocre. That will then become the standard. People will stop coming to the venue, and the business will go out of business. You, the shithouse bartender, because you don't care, will then move on to the next venue, fertilising everybody with your own brand of below-standard shite. All because you didn't care. You couldn't be asked to read the person. With a waft of your bar spoon, just like Harry wafts his wand, you could have made it all better. Those examples are all fairly similar, but I just wanted to highlight that people not reading are everywhere. In a clothes store, in a bar, in a cafe, everywhere. Even if you think you can't do this, even if you think, oh, it's not me, you can do it. You can read. And it is so much fun to do. You can make it into a fucking game just to get yourself through the day. But we can get into all of that in episode 2 because I do want to share with you how I read and how I think people should read. A lot of people may not think this, but often it is a very, very small journey from good to great. Look, I'm no academic, far from it. As mentioned earlier, I was a bit useless. However, I became really, really fucking good at this game. Why? Well, because I care about the product, about the customer, and about what people think of me. Sometimes it just takes a little effort, which then morphs into a habit. Then, like Harry with his wand in his hand, no, not that one. It's Hey Presto or Redio Revelio. I don't even think that's real. But before you know it, you become fucking awesome. Well, there it is. Thank you as always for listening, everybody. It's hugely appreciated. You don't know how much. In part 2, I'm going to tell you how we can all read a little bit better. Maybe a bit of pulling chat for the lads. Maybe a technique or two on how to read the ladies. Let's see how out of date I am on that one, shall we? Also, pull your finger out and follow on Facebook and Instagram if you haven't already. Let's be honest, with Wise Oldman. And now, God help me, TikTok. Now that one is just Wise Oldman. Let's see where that one goes. I've been Wise Oldman. I drink and I like to share things. Cheers. Am I promoting drinking? No. See you next time.